Hello everyone, the story I'm going to share today is Zhao Kuangyin's Tabard, Episode 1. This story is divided into 3 episodes. During the 5 Dynasties and 10 states, a woman named Ling Zhi lived in a small mountain village. Her husband fell seriously ill and passed away, leaving her pregnant and alone to live a hard life. One day, while Ling Zhi was farming in the fields, she heard shouting and horses neighing in the distance. There was a time of chaos and fighting between states, so battles were very common. After a little while, the sounds gradually faded away until they were no longer audible. As the sun set, Lingzhi made her way back home and saw many corpses on the flat area between the mountains, their blood staining the rocks red. Fear gripped her heart as she had no other path to take, so she cautiously made her way past the pile of dead bodies, taking one step at a time. After walking a dozen steps, she noticed a man whose body was covered in blood moving slightly. Lingzhi thought that this man might still be alive, so she briefly dragged him back home. She laid the man on the bed. His wounds were still bleeding, and his bright red tabard was soaked black with blood. Fortunately, Lingzhi had some medicinal herbs at home. She pounded it into powder and applied to the man's wounds, then tossed some cloth into stripes to bandage him. After finishing this, exhausted from the day's work, Lingzhi could no longer bear her wearinesses and fell asleep near the bed. Lingzhi slept deeply due to her extreme fatigue, and when she woke up, she suddenly remembered that there was an injured man on the bed. However, when she raised her head to look, there was no one there. She found that the blood-stained tabard, half covering her body and half pressed beneath her. It seemed that the man, upon waking up, didn't want to disturb her and quietly left after taking his tabard off. Lingzhi watched the tabard and kept it as a keepsake. She didn't know who she had saved and couldn't return the tabard to its owner. 3 months later, Lingzhi gave birth to a baby boy. Due to her poor health, the child was unusually small, and by the time he reached the height of normal 5 or 6 years old, he stopped growing and remained thin. However, he had a special talent for climbing and was incredibly fast. Climbing walls and trees were child's play for him, and combined with his appearance resembling a monkey, the villagers called him Monkey Boy. Years passed, and the fighting outside intensified. The people could no longer survive and had to flee their homes. Lingzhi and her monkey boy also joined the refugees and eventually settled in Sichuan, a remote area with little influences of the war. Sichuan was part of the Shu kingdom, ruled by Emperor Mengchang, who was both incompetent and cruel. To indulge himself, Mengchang often imposed heavy taxes and burdens on the people, making their lives unbearable. Lingzhi and Monkey Boy worked very hard in the fields, but the grain they harvested at the end of the year was not enough for them to pay the heavy taxes. As a result, they often went hungry. One year, they heard that a man named Zhao Kuangyin had established a Song dynasty in the north. He knew about the corruption decay in the Shu kingdom and planned to attack it. People in Shu state was delighted, thinking that their better days were ahead. However, Mengchang decided to adopt a scorched earth policy to defend his kingdom, a strategy that involved fortifying defenses to prevent enemy incursions and depriving them of resources by destroying food stores and shelters in the countryside. As a result, even before the Song army arrived, Mengchang ordered to snatch grain from the people living outside the Jianmen paths and burn their houses. Lingzhi was one of the victims. She lost both her food and shelter. She and the monkey boy had to live in a mountain cave and began living a primitive life. All the villagers had to pick wild fruits from the mountains to survive. Because Monkey Boy had climbing skills, he could reach fruits on the top of the tree that others couldn't. Thus, he helped Lingzhi and villagers from starving to death. The villagers hoped that the Song army would defeat the Shu kingdom, but several months passed without any progress at the Jianmen Pass. As the weather was getting colder, Lingzhi became increasingly worried about how they would survive the winter. One day, Monkey Boy returned home with a bag of something. Upon opening it, Lingzhi was surprised to find white rice. How and where could he get the rice in such difficult times? Lingzhi asked Monkey Boy where he got it, but he remained silent. Afterwards, Monkey Boy would bring back a bag of rice regularly, and he also gave the rice to the villagers, who were very grateful to him. One day, a villager hurriedly came to tell Lingzhi, "Hurry up! Your son is going to be executed by the Song army." Lingzhi was shocked upon hearing the news, and she asked anxiously, "What did he do wrong?" The villager replied, "He stole rice from the Song camp's granary. Because he can climb, he snuck in from the top of the granary and stole rices without anyone noticing." So, how was the monkey boy? Was he killed? Please continue to listen to episode 2. Thank you.